Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to another lesson with Mr. Fieck. Today, we're going to be comparing fractions checkpoint. So basically, today we're going to go over the checkpoint that we would have in class and comparing fractions and kind of the concepts that we have talked about in the first few lessons in Unit 7. So let's jump right in. So number 1 says fill in the empty boxes with fractions that are equivalent to those already labeled. So we just need to make equivalent fractions. And remember, we talked about in earlier lessons, to make equivalent fractions, you either have to multiply the numerator and denominator by the exact same number or divide them both by the exact same number. So let's start down here, 0, 1/8, blank, 3/8. So here we're counting by eighths. So here we could go 1/8, well, the next one would be 2/8. And 2/8, if I divided both these by 2 and 2, 2 divided by 2 would be 1, 8 divided by 2 would be a fourth. So 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. 3/8, well, 4/8 is equivalent to a half. 2/4 is also equivalent to a half. 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8, and then we'd have 8/8 or 1 whole. Then if we go up here, 1/6, 2/6. What would be equivalent to 2/6? Well, here I'm doing thirds, so if I divide 6 by 2 to make 3, I divide 2 by 2 to get 1, so that would be equivalent to 1/3. So 1/3, 2/3, so this would be 2/6, 3/6 again, which is equivalent to a half, so 3/6 is equivalent to 4/8 and 2/5. Then I'd have 4/6, and 4/6, if I divided these both by 2, would get 2/3, or if I multiplied 2 and 3 both by 2, 2 times 2 would be 4, and 3 times 2 would be 6 to make 4/6. So there we go. Now I filled in all my fractions on the number line to make equivalent fractions. Which is greater, 2/8 or 1/3? So there's a couple of things. I could go down and look at, I'm just going to change colors here real quick. I could go look at 2/8 and my 1/3, and just by noticing this I can see that 1/3 is greater than 2/8. Or we can talk about what we did and remember cross multiplying. The easiest way to compare fractions, you always climb the ladder and go up. 3 times 2 is 6, 8 times 1 is 8, and guess what? 6 is wrong one. 6 is less than 8, so 2/8 is less than 1/3, which is kind of what we just talked about. And explain how you know. You could either use the number line or just show, by me showing that I did cross multiplication, that's really the same as explaining because I showed you how I did it, okay? Shade the bars to show each fraction, then complete each statement with less than, equal, or greater, okay? So if I shade in 2/6 of this one, and I shade in 3/8 of this one, well, 3/8 goes right here. So obviously 2/6 would be less than 3/8. Or again, cross multiply, 8 times 2 is 16, 6 times 3 is 18, 16 is less than 3/8. All right, if I shade in here 2/3, and then I have 5/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8, well, this one is a little ahead, so 2/3 is greater. Then let's check. Again, always a good idea to check. Cross multiply. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 5 is 15. So yeah, 16 is greater than 15. All right, sketch and name 2 fractions that are equivalent to 2/4. So make equivalent fractions. If I multiply them both by 2, the numerator and denominator, I would get, so let's see, if I do times 2 times 2, I would get 4/8, right? Which makes sense because 2/4 is equivalent to a half. 4/8 is also, which really what that means is I'm just splitting each one of these in half again. And then I have 4/8, and then I just need to shade in 4 of my 8 pieces. I shade in 4 of my total 8 pieces. Or I could divide them both by 2, and if I divide by 2 and divide by 2, I would get what I just said of 1/2, which if I could, I would remove this line, I would take that line out of there and take that line out of there, and then I would shade in one of my two pieces. Okay, so again, making equivalent fractions. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, or you can simplify it and divide the numerator and denominator by the exact same number. Okay, let's go on to the second part, and it says rewrite 2/3 and 3/4 with the common denominator. And again, the easiest way to do this is just multiply your two denominators together. 3 times 4 is 12. So my denominators are going to be 12. Okay, I'm going to zoom in just a little more here. Okay, so then in order to get 12, 3 times 4 is 12. So I have to do 2 times 4, which would be 8. So 2/3 is equivalent to 8/12. And then over here, I did 4 times 3, so then I have to do 3 times 3, which 3/4 is equivalent to 9/12. And then it says compare. Well, now that we have we made equivalent fractions with a common denominator, 8/12 is less than 9/12. So, could do 8/12 is less than 9/12. Okay? Or then I could go back and do 2/3 because it says write 2 statements. 2/3 is less than 3/4. And I know that by finding a common denominator up here. Or again, I could cross multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 is less than 9. Okay? All right, and the last one for today. Kiara and Allison each got a strip of fruit leather exactly the same size. Kiara ate 6/8 of her strip. Allison ate 5/6 of her strip. Which girl ate more? So that's a really simple way. It's just asking you to compare the fractions. So again, 6/8 comparing to 5/6. It's saying which one is more. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. 8 times 5 is 40. Well, 36 is less than 40, so 6/8 is less than 5/6. So who ate more? Allison ate more. I'll just put Allie right now. Fill in the blank with less than, equal, or greater. Well, that's kind of what we just did. 6/8 we just did is less than 5/6. And then it says use numbers, label sketches, or words to figure out which one is greater. And that's what we just did. We just did show our work. We cross multiplied by, and remember, always climb the ladder and multiply up. But that's exactly what we did. So that was just kind of a checkpoint of all review that we've covered in the first few lessons of Unit 7. Hope that helped. Go make it a great day, boys and girls.